And welcome to another exciting adventure on the energy that surrounds us. I'm your host, Michael, and tonight's guest is someone who I think you all are going to be really intrigued by. I just caught the tail end of her doing a session live on the spirit realm, and so I could give you the list of everything that she's done, but I'll save time and I'll let her just spill on herself and let her entertain you. So I'm going to turn it over to my guest, the one, the only medium extraordinaire, contact beyond belief, medium Brooke Ashley.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, definitely.
So, for those who may not be aware of Realm Network and your work, you want to give a brief background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm an evidential psychic medium, and I've been doing this work for 6 years now. I have a show on the Spirit Realm Network called Live from the Other Side, where I give spirit led readings, which is basically gallery style, platform style, mediumship readings just on a computer live. So that's on the Spirit Realm Network every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard. But I also travel the country doing cons and different conventions and metaphysical fairs and just all sorts of stuff. I also do private readings. I have a website where people can book private readings with me, but really there's not a lot that's off the table when it comes to like what I'm going to do next. So, I just got back from the Washoe Con in Virginia City, Nevada, where I did a gallery reading and led paranormal investigations with Michelle LeBaron and Shane Pittman. So that was a lot of fun. And so I do a little bit of everything, travel around and do what I love. So I'm very blessed.
Very cool. And so I'm just kind of a little curious with both of us being paranormal investigators. Do you feel you're being a medium and able to tap in with ancestors of people or loved ones that gives you a higher chance of connecting to something on investigations, or do you think being open is all that matters and the mediumship is just mediumship?
Yeah, I think that everybody has the ability to connect to the spirit world because I truly believe that we are spirit. So that's kind of what we are at like the soul level. We're spirit. And then I feel like we're spirit first and maybe human second, right? So I feel like everybody has the ability to connect. And I find that when people go into a space to paranormal investigate, they're already really open to the idea of something other than what they can see here in the physical world, which automatically makes them more open to receiving and open to kind of having an experience of their own. So I think the only way the mediumship kind of helps me is it's something that I've trained and it's something that I've honed into be able to file information or understand information in a way that makes more sense, where I can kind of guide it where I want it. Like, okay, splitting up timelines. Who am I seeing? What timeline are they from? Why am I seeing it? Maybe it comes to me a little faster because I've practiced it so much, and I have that background of really putting it into practice. So I think it just makes it easier for me to sift through the information that is coming at me in a paranormal investigation.
And my next question is one I'm sure you get asked all the time, and I'm hoping I'm going to put a little twist on it. Is what, in your opinion and experience, if somebody was to ask you what's the difference between psychic and mediums, is there one? And also, the twist I'm going to add is, how did you decide to become an evidential medium, and what was entailed in that?
Yeah. So psychic and evidential mediumship or mediumship are two different things, definitely. So they say, I guess when I say they say, it's just what I've heard from my mentors and people that I've kind of been around in the world of spirit that have taught me the things that I know up until this point, at least to their best of their ability, right? Is that all mediums are psychics. Not all psychics are mediums. So everybody has an ability to connect to the spirit world, but not everybody's going to stand on stage and like do gallery style mediumship where they're bringing through people's loved ones one after another and bringing through all this verifiable information that's like really well rounded with like, kind of like a bow on the package. So if you're a medium, you're naturally psychic, but psychic work is going to be dealing in person to person, energy to energy, that's here in the physical world. So it's going to be somebody tapping into you psychically. So what is going on with you? What's going on with your energy, past, present, and possibility for you, for the person in front of you. Whereas mediumship is connecting to the spirit world. So that's going to be people's loved ones on the other side. That's going to be like angels, Akashic records, all of that stuff, right? Spirit guides, things of that nature. So with mediumship, the reason I got into mediumship was, to be honest with you, I've always been highly psychic. That's something that always came natural to me. I never had to try with that. And it got to a point where I was kind of tired of feeling like I had these psychic abilities, but I couldn't do anything with them. That it didn't amount to anything. I wasn't helping anyone. You know what I mean? It was just, oh, great, I know someone's going to knock on the door, or I know that person lied to me about where they were at lunch yesterday. So I was watching Cindy Kaza on the Holzer Files, and she's the first medium that I saw on TV that connected with me in a way that no other medium I had seen had really connected with me at that point. So watching her on the Holzer Files kind of changed everything. I started to follow her on Facebook, and then I saw that she was teaching mediumship development classes. She had beginner courses, and I thought, oh my God, people teach. I had no idea that people taught this. I had no clue that this was even a teachable thing. So I said, I'm going to go to the class, and I'm going to prove to myself that I'm not a medium, and then maybe ask for advice on what I should even do about my psychic ability. Like, should I just say whatever, it is what it is, and just let it be annoying? Or is there something I can do with it? Well, it turns out that I am a medium, and being in that class answered a lot of questions for me. Watching Cindy Kaza be able to do the things that she could do and the way that she did them really resonated with me. And when I saw her work, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an evidential medium. Like Teresa Caputo, Long Island medium, she's an evidential medium. It's just a specific name for connecting to the spirit world. So it's verifiable stuff. It's stuff that you can validate through your sitter, the person you're giving the reading to, and they can hold you accountable with a yes or a no. Whereas like angel readings or Akashic record readings or spirit guide readings, the person in front of you can't tell you you're wrong. They can't validate it for you. They could say anything they wanted to. And I think I didn't want to, I'm kind of a skeptic, which is funny because I'm a medium, but I'm a skeptic medium. So working in an area where I couldn't hold myself accountable for whether or not the information I was getting was true didn't feel aligned to me. So that's what pushed me towards evidential mediumship.
So, what was your aha moment, so to speak, in doing the evidential mediumship where you sat there and said, yes, this is what I'm meant to do. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm going to keep going. And whenever you feel down, you go back to that moment to lift you back up.
Yeah. That first class when because she throws you in and she kind of gives you this roadmap to evidential mediumship, because it's kind of like, well, I don't even know where to start. What do I do? So she gives you a good roadmap in those beginners classes. And when I went into a breakout room and I was bringing forward information that felt like I was just making it up, it started to click for me. And that moment allowed me to go, oh my gosh, I've been doing this probably my whole life. I just didn't realize that's what it was, because mediumship feels so much like you are making it up. It's so subtle. It's so unbelievably subtle. You literally feel like you were just daydreaming, making it up. They're like, go, who's here? You're like, I don't know, grandpa. I see sunflowers. I see, and it's all correct. And that's when you go, oh my God, that's how subtle mediumship is. Because you think it's like this big, wild thing. You don't know what to expect. And it's really not that. It's just I find mediumship to be so human. It's basically senses. Like you have your seeing, tasting, smelling, hearing, all that in the physical world. Well, you have another set of senses. They're just connected to the spirit part of you, which is clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience. It's a different set of clairs. So when I go back to that first class and some of these aha moments, I think it clicked for me in a way. It was like I've already been doing this, I think, my whole life. And so it felt like that's when it clicked. And it was like, okay, I felt like I was at home. From that class, I trained every day from 6 to 8 hours a day. I trained every single day up until what now, like 6 years later. So when I started, I did not stop. It clicked. I like, this is what I should have been doing my whole life. And it's just one of those things where you just, and things become very clear to you in that moment. And you're like, wow, nothing's ever going to be the same again. I was also going through a massive spiritual awakening at the time, which is what drew me probably to her class in the first place. So it all just kind of came together.
No, that's really cool. And I get asked all the time, and I really honestly don't have an answer for is how do you turn it off when you don't want the mediumship being active? Can you turn it off, or is it always on?
I'm lucky enough to be the type of medium who always has her mediumship in the off position. I literally have to flip the switch on in order to receive any information. I'm just naturally in the off position. I know a lot of mediums say that they're not like that, that they have a huge problem turning it off and they get bombarded or they get bothered a lot by the spirit world. So I usually tell people that creating boundaries, spiritual rituals for boundaries with the spirit world is really important. I didn't realize that my nighttime panic attacks, where I would just fly out of bed and it was like I was being buried alive. I didn't realize that was spirit all crowding me while I was trying to go to sleep. So first of all, realizing that's what was happening helped, and then creating boundaries with the spirit world. So you have to create something that feels right to you. If it's a ritual that you don't align with, or when you're doing it, you feel silly, or it just doesn't feel aligned, it's probably not going to work, because true, honest belief that the mind is wild, you literally create your own reality. So you have to believe what you're doing in order for it to work. So I personally like to pretend like there's this big gust of like angelic air bursting out and pushing all the spirits back. And I have all the archangels surround me in a circle and push them even further back. And then I have like this white light dome go over me that's impenetrable, and ask them to keep everybody like at the border fence. And then I have this like dome. So that works for me to set the boundary, but you have to do something that works for you. I say that with every ritual, any ritual. If meditation doesn't feel connected to you, you just like, you're sitting there, your mind is wandering, you can't stand it. It's not for you. Meditation's not for everyone, right? You can meditate by listening to music and cleaning the dishes. It's anything that puts you in the moment without taking you to a thought that's like, what am I having for dinner? What about yesterday? 10 years ago, Sally wouldn't talk to me anymore. Or, you're thinking about your future. I got to pay that bill in a month. All of that keeps you ungrounded. And so just creating rituals, like I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I can go down a rabbit hole, but it's about creating rituals that work for you. You know what I mean? So creating a ritual to protect yourself or create boundaries with the spirit world that feels aligned for you. It has to feel right for you. And if one doesn't work, then try something different, or go on YouTube and look for maybe like meditations that might work for you, or guided meditations, or go into a spiritual community and ask what other people do, because maybe there's somebody who has an idea that clicks with you and aligns with you in a way where you're like, oh my God, I totally align with that. I think I'll try that. And then it'll work. I think having a spiritual community backing you up, or a place to ask questions or bring your questions, concerns, or things that are happening to you, and having a place to talk about that with other people is really helpful, because it's definitely a world that other people who are not inside of that world, they just don't understand it at all. And you don't want to feel blown off or crazy. So it's good to find a community of people that support you and maybe have some advice as well for things like that.
No, that's great. And, you're welcome to go on any tangent because I always feel like a lot of great information comes in those tangents. And one thing that I'm really curious about, and it comes from your bio, is you say like you're a lifelong sensitive to the unseen.
Mm-hmm.
So, did that start when you were a child? And if so, what impact do you think did that have on you growing up?
Yeah, there's not a time ever that I can remember not having a paranormal experience, having a haunted house, being connected to the unseen. So that's not, I don't even know a life without it, to be honest with you. I thought it was normal. I thought everybody, like it didn't occur to me to say to people outside the house, oh my God, this is happening in my house. I had this happen. It didn't occur. There was just something about it just felt so normal to me to have like a haunted house and to be like, I was very clairaudient. So I would hear my name getting called. People would whisper in my ear in the middle of the night. I would see things out of the corner of my eye. A feeling was big for me too. Like, the movie Paranormal Activity where it starts to vibrate before something happens, that feeling all the time, feelings of being watched. But, living in, haunted locations growing up, just kind of feeling like that was always a part of my life. I never really questioned it. I also have a sister who's 3 years older than me, who is highly open, extremely mediumistic, extremely psychic. And I think her energy really spurred that on as well in every place that we were at. So I was probably haunted from birth because of her, honestly, because she's super open and there was a lot of trauma in our childhood before we got adopted. So she was probably just radiating all sorts of just PK energy as well. So it was crazy from I can't even remember a time when it wasn't.
So I have a curious question, and I don't know if I'm overstepping because I've not
No,
been in this position before. But if I am, I apologize. But
no, you're good.
I know a lot of people talk about the
Mhm.
gift of like mediumship comes through genetics
Mhm.
and through the ancestry line, and so I'm wondering, because you both were adopted,
Mhm.
were they open to it, or could it have come through them? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, it actually, I was 4 and she was 7. We weren't allowed to be separated. We had to be adopted together. And so my adoptive parents couldn't have kids of their own and they waited till later in life. So they were 40 when they adopted us. And so we have memories of our life before them. I mean, that's just a part of us. She was so older. She was so much older, 7, and I'm 4. So we knew our parents closer to our birth father than birth mother, because his parents were the ones who had us and were raising us until we got adopted. So I have a grandpa, Roy, and he is like one of those special people where the whole family fights over who he loved the most. And he's just like, he still gets fought over. He's been dead since I was 8. Uh, it comes from him. I get it from my dad, and my dad gets it from him. So it actually comes from the men in my family, believe it or not. It's kind of wild.
I think it has to do with, which side is more open
Mhm.
because some families have both that are open to it, and some are the dad side, and some are the mom side. So I don't know that it really matters, which side. I think the important thing is that it's nurtured. And so that's what I think is, the blessing is when it's nurtured and allowed to grow,
Mhm.
that's great. But when it's suppressed, I think that leaves a really traumatic mark and makes it harder to break out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it can put a cap on people. I see so many people trying to like compartmentalize right now. There's definitely a massive shift. I'd say maybe the past 3 or 4 years, like a really big shift in energy and people awakening to a lot of stuff. And I noticed that the people who didn't have it fostered, I always get that story from them. They're always, if they're in class with me or they're a student of mine, I notice it's a lot harder to break them out of their shell and to trust their gifts and to trust the spirit world without constantly having to be like convinced that it's real or convinced that they're right, or because they were so stifled and they were told to ignore it, it's not real, that's ridiculous, you know, stuff of that nature. So it wasn't fostered in them. And I find it interesting because I see it coming out in certain students who have that background, that they are so much harder, it's so much harder for them to trust that process. They have it, but trusting it, it's like pulling teeth trying to get it out of them. You know what I mean? So I can see that. And it usually correlates to that type of background. Someone who wasn't in an environment growing up where that was fostered. I'm lucky enough that my adoptive mom is like a conundrum of like a conservative and a hippie all in one. So she's like, she's a little more on the conservative side, but she's also like a hippie. Like, so it's, she always fostered that in me and my sister. She's the one who pointed it out, actually. She was like, do you know what psychic is, honey? And I'm like, no. She's like, you and your sister are very psychic. So she fostered it, thank God, because I could have ended up with someone who didn't. And she's a little bit woo-woo. She always has been. I mean, she reads all of the books. She reads like all of the you know, all the books that talk about, you know, all the stuff that we kind of know when we step into the spirit world is like, you know, the mind is like an incredible place where you can kind of heal yourself, you can, you know, change the course of your life, you can, like, all of these things, these really cool self-help books. And she knows all these, like, I don't know, she's like, I call her a mini Buddha. She's literally like, I think she's a Buddhist and she just doesn't claim it, but she was raised Catholic. My grandma was extremely Catholic. And my mom, I think, had a spiritual awakening around the age of like 11 or 12 and realized that she didn't understand what was being told to her. It didn't make any sense. And so she had to start compartmentalizing that. She pulled away from the Catholic Church. So she kind of became a Catholic induced atheist. So it was like Catholicism induced atheism. So she didn't really have, you know, us growing up, we didn't go to church. My parents weren't religious. They didn't have a belief system, anything like that. But my mom has always been really a little on the woo-woo side, thank God, because it allowed us to not to feel seen. I mean, my dad's the total opposite. He is like, this is crap. This does not exist. It's not real. It's this, what you see is what you get, and you're worm food when you're gone. And he truly believes that. She's such the opposite. So it was nice to have her. Because if I was left with just him, I don't know that I'd be doing this right now.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's healthy to have both sides because I think it helps keep the balance and the grounding to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. he's a
And
he's a fun guy, but he is what you see is what you get, and that's it.
and because you do these events and you go to all these different places, I'm wondering if you ever get recognized, and if you do people come up and start going, "Hey, do you have a message for me?" or "Hey, you know," and be like, "Can you turn it on for me here and now?" And you know, do you get privacy with that?
Nobody knows who I am. Like, I don't know, maybe recently, like within the last couple of trips I've taken, I did the Oregon Ghost Conference and then straight back home, then turn around after 4 days and went to the Washoe Con in Virginia City, Nevada. So we've been traveling for like a month straight almost. But I did notice that there's a little more people like double looking my way, like, I know you. Wait, I know you. You look really familiar. Wait, oh, I think I've seen you on like TikTok, or I've seen. So it's just kind of a little bit, but really, in all honesty, most of the places that I go, people don't know who I am. Like, I'm always having to prove myself a little bit in every environment that I go to, because the people who know me like on TikTok, I never get to really see them in person. The worlds are so separate. all the people who know me on TikTok, because I have like what 32,000 followers on TikTok. So all the people who know it's just TikTok. So when I go and I do an in-person event, most of those people don't have a clue who I am. And they're like, who's this medium? And then I have to go in, do my job, hit that gallery reading, knock it out of the park. And then after that, I have like, a friend for life, and that usually once you read for them, they're just like, wow, and they're very loving and they follow you and they support you and stuff like that. So, but I find that the TikTok world does not translate into any of the events that I'm doing. Most of the time, it's been my first time there. People are, I mean, like, I'm sure people have seen my face now, especially in the paranormal world, because I have been moving around that space a little bit more. But I wonder how long it would be until I actually felt like someone knew who I was when I walked into a room.
Well, the funny reason why I asked that is I had a guest on my show, and when she was on, I had a co host at the time temporarily, and they met at a live event, and she goes up and she gets recognized for being on my show, and I just start laughing when I hear this story because, like you, I go places and nobody recognizes me.
Yeah.
But the people that are on the show with me get recognized. And I'm like, that is funny to me. I'm like, you get recognized by association, but I don't get recognized. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
That is interesting. Wild. I don't know how it works out here in these streets. I mean, it's funny too because I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's fun kind of flying under the radar because I have some friends in the community that I don't think it's weird. It's like I meet them, I connect with them. I don't know how big they are. And then like we click, we're besties. And then I'm like, oh my God, they're like huge in the community. Wow, okay, I made good friends. Like Tobe Johnson is one of my really good friends, Toby Johnson and Alicia Pfeiffer. And it's funny because when I linked up with Tobe and Allie, he was just some guy to me who was like putting up flyers all over Port Townsend, Washington. I'm like, who is this guy? Yeah, anyway. And then we ended up linking up through a friend, Jeff, who owned a shop in Port Townsend, and then got him interested in my work. And he's like, well, I want to see her. So then we linked up and just started immediately working together, like me, Martin, my partner, and him and Allie. And we started doing some projects together and just some fun stuff together. And now we're like, really close friends and just adore them, right? And it's like I didn't even know when I met him that he was like on Expedition Bigfoot. He was on two big documentaries, A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed, A Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot. And I found out after I met him, and I was like, oh wow, that's wild. And so it's funny because it's like I fly under the radar, but I make really cool friends. I just got a chance to kind of like hang out with Shane Pittman and work alongside him, and that was really fun. And Tara and Ryan McLeod and Michelle LeBaron, and that was like a lot of fun. I got to meet Janice. Oh God, how do you say her last name? She's an author in Nevada. She's incredible. She was on like an episode of Ghost Hunters. And then Dave, I'll be hanging out with Dave tomorrow. Is tomorrow? No, the day after tomorrow at the Palmer with Dave and Winnie, Dave Schrader and Winnie Schrader. So it's like I know these people. I like, but I'm not there. You know what I mean? And it's kind of nice being able to fly under the radar because I get to kind of move around and not really be noticed or seen or have to entertain all the time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of fun too in like in a different community. I'm the same way as I can fly under the radar, but I have all these well known friends, and when people are like talking, and I happen to be there, and we go up and we're like, "Hey," hug, and everyone kind of sits there and is like, "Who are you? How do you know these well?" And it's like yeah, you get to feel for a moment. You're like, I got that notoriety, and then it like wears off, and you can walk away, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't remember that guy.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's just, I just, I love what I do so much. None of the rest of it really matters to me. Like the only thing I care about is being able to bring clear, concise, evidential connections for people in the living to know that their loved ones have not left them. And that those, that tear that streams down, your client's eye when you see something change in them, when you're bringing that connection together and you're able to be the facilitator for that. I mean, like, that's really why I do what I do. I love it so much. The other stuff is just like a fun perk, like getting to travel around and getting to do like fun stuff. I don't like to take myself too seriously. You know what I mean? It's like, if I can do mediumship readings and bring people that connection, the rest of it's just kind of a bonus or fun, a little cherry on top. You know what I mean? So I just
Yeah,
love it. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed.
I mean, we have to be because, in all honesty, like flying under the radar like we do, we get to see all the rise and the falls and
Mhm,
everything that's people's doing and realizing, yeah, if you get caught up in, oh, I'm on TV and everything, and oh, now I got this deal and this deal.
mhm,
All of a suddenly, it's like when all that ends, everyone's like, "Who are you?" And nobody remembers you. But if you're consistent in doing what you're doing,
mhm,
people are like, "Hey, I've seen you on Facebook or I've seen you on YouTube. I really like what you're doing." And people recognize you more for that
mhm.
than being on the TV shows and having like the 15 seconds of fame, as they call it, because TV shows come and go, but people doing like podcast shows and everything, they tend to be a little bit around more,
Yeah.
but we're still in the same boat of, yeah, as long as I'm consistently doing shows and I'm on the right networks and I'm on the right this and that, people see me. But if I don't do them, nobody would know who I was, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. I feel like as long as you're doing something out of the adventure, the love for it, the passion, like it's always going to translate. It'll translate. So if you're doing something out of like expectation to get some sort of, recognition or something specific out of it, I always find that the intention that you go in with will kind of result in like how that's received or how that pans out, really. So I always say if you go into something with like a sense of adventure and you're doing it out of the love, like really you just love doing it, it's something like it's a passion for you, a passion project, and you're not thinking of the outcome, you're just doing something because it's in your heart and you truly love it, it will always translate. You know what I mean? That's always going to translate into something that people love because you love the energy you put into it and the energy you have when you're creating something that translates. That's going to reach other people who connect with the energy that you were putting out when you were creating it. You know what I mean? Creation is so important and it's really reciprocal, right? You know what I mean? So if you love what you're doing it because it's adventure, it's fun, it's passion, you care, that will translate in everything that you do. So I feel like if everybody kind of just throws the rest of it to the wind and just does it out of love and passion, you'll be a-okay, you know?
And I actually have a funny moment about that. Is I was with a friend who I investigated with a long time ago, and then we reconnected through a friend recently, and we were at one of our favorite places to go and check out. And these two random guys walk up to me and are like, "Hey, I know you." And I'm thinking, wow, this is like my big moment. Somebody recognizes me. I got fans. Wow. And they go, "You were on that show with these two guys, right?" And I'm like, and I'm the honest type. I don't take credit for anything. And so I look at the guys flat in their face and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't know who you're talking about. And I look over to my friends and they're like, oh, it's these two guys that are really famous on YouTube and they're YouTubers. And I was like, oh. And my friend laughingly goes, but he has a podcast show. And they were like, oh, okay. And I was like, wow. You like those two guys' shows, but you won't even give me a second. Wow. I'm
Yeah,
like, my high just kind of went and took a little dip. Thanks, guys.
yeah. Yeah,
But
and that's like that's how it is. I mean, sometimes people are, people are gonna it happens, you know what I mean? It happens all the time. I'm not always the sometimes you just kind of have to keep pushing forward with what you're doing because it's enjoyable for you. And then like the people who are meant to like see it and engage in it and be a part of that, they'll come. And it'll be fun when it happens too.
yeah,
Because when it happens, you're gonna be like, kind of caught off guard, I think, because most of the time I'm not expecting it when somebody is like, "Oh, you did that," or "Oh, are you coming back? I was at the first one you did," and so it's fun when you're not expecting it and you're just kind of in the moment having fun. When those little things happen, it's so humbling. It's so sweet. Yeah.
it is. And, I just liked the fact that I was like, I got recognized for a moment. I was like, wow, it kind of validates the work that I'm doing, even though I didn't really get recognized. I'm like, it still felt good. And so I was like, I'm gonna claim that. I don't have to claim the whole story. I can just claim the high of, hey, these two guys were like excited to meet me. And if these two are, others will be too. And it is true, like you say, we can't do, if we do our shows and we do our investigations to get notoriety and to get famous and everything, I don't think it works. And the reason I say that is like with the investigation side, the spirits and the entities and the beings that are there, they can read your intentions.
Mm,
And if
yeah.
they're like, "Oh, you're here just to be on TV," they're
Mhm.
probably gonna leave you alone and be like, "Yeah, whatever. You don't care about us. Why should we care about you?"
Yeah.
Where when you're there genuinely to connect,
Mhm.
then they're like, "Hey, here's somebody who's genuine and authentic. Let's, communicate. Let's, have fun with these people." And I feel like, and that's the same thing with our shows is, as long as we're authentic to who we are,
Mhm.
people gravitate towards it and the audience grows. And I get all the time people like messaging me saying, "Oh, if you give us this much money, we'll, boost your viewership." And I'm
Mhm.
like, and this is literally how my mind works. I go, if I pay you 1 month and you boost it up to where like 1,000 people are watching, and then I decide I don't need to pay you. These 1,000 people now have seen. Let's, ride that wave. And you drop down to like five. People
Yeah.
are going to look and go, I think this show peaked and now it's gone downhill. And so I'm going to cut my losses. And you're going to lose people
Mhm.
because the numbers went up and then took a heavy drop. And so I'm like, nope, I will ride the natural wave.
Mhm.
And
I
I,
agree. Yeah. Yeah. You got to be careful with that stuff. I never know either, too, with that like boosting on social medias and stuff. I just feel like it's funny because I feel like it's like if you do it, like I have this worry that you'll do it, and then if you don't do it again, they'll punish you. So then now we're like, well, I'm not going to throw you to anybody, and it's like, so I'm like, I don't even want to get into that like rigmarole.
I know. Or they'll be like, oh, now that you've done this, now you got to do this, this, and this to maintain. And it's like, I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah.
No, no. And now I got to figure out how to clean this mess up now
Right.
because this is not what I bargained for. And I hope everybody's, sticks with it. And I
Yeah.
think too the important thing that why my shows are doing well and your shows are doing well is we do them for ourselves and
Mhm.
what interests us. We don't sit there and survey the people that are watching and going, "What do you want? What do
Yeah.
you want me to talk about?" Because I feel like if I do that, it's no longer my show. It's
Yeah.
now become your show. And so I'm working for you. And so I'm
Mhm.
like, I'll do it if you pay me, but if you ain't paying me,
Mhm.
you're just gonna go along for the ride of what my mind is into.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I mean, it's easier to do a show when you're talking about things or bringing people on that have subjects that interest you, because I feel like if you're not interested in the subject, I mean, that'll probably show. I think that it just the natural way of doing it is just like something that you're interested in, something you align with, something you want to know more about, and so it's like you bring on people that interest you or fascinate you, or the subject fascinates you, and then yeah, that's just the way you got to do it.
Yeah, and there is an interesting facet that I've noticed in the metaphysical and woo woo community that to me is like it makes me laugh on the inside because it makes no sense to me. And what that is like you being an evidential medium or a
Mhm.
psychic. They're like, that's great, very cool. But if you were to use the word channel, they're all like, oh no, that's fake, that's fraud, that's not real.
Mhm.
What do you think is the reason why channeling gets such a bad rap versus the mediumship and the psychic abilities?
I mean, I guess it depends on where you're going and hearing that information. I mean, I'm in the spiritual community a lot and I hear channeling all the time. So I think that it's a vast space where there's a lot of different words that you could use to describe different types of, like, look, there's like automatic writing, there's psychometry, channeling is really just a word that describes your ability to bring forward the energy of spirit and bring that out, whether it's through automatic writing is channeling. You're channeling when you automatic write. Trance mediumship is channeling. So it's just a word. I think that, if it gets a bad rap, I think it's really just more because there are charlatans out there who are fakes. There's so many fake psychics, fake mediums, fake, tarot card readers, or whatever, fortune tellers is what I call them, seer, like fortune tellers, right? So because there's so much of this verbiage and terminology that can be intertwined in a lot of these spaces, if somebody has like a bad or a negative experience with someone who's used that terminology, they're going to kind of tack that word onto their experience for what's being done. But it's really just a term that can be used for different types of connecting to the spirit world. So automatic writing is channeling, and trance mediumship is channeling, and I think the whole thing really is channeling. It's just a different term that we use. And so I think when people get caught up on terms instead of really looking at what's in front of them, I always say you have to vet your medium. You have to vet your psychics. You have to vet your mediums. You have to see them work. Watch them do readings, see if they have, like, fair and honest reviews. So you really should watch them work. I think if you're going to pay for a reading, watching them work first is going to be the best thing, because you're going to energetically be able to feel whether or not you connect to the way that that person reads, because not every medium is for everybody. And you'll be able to tell whether or not there's red flags that are going on, or you feel like you're hearing just a lot of vague information and nothing really goes any deeper. And then it allows you that ability to kind of decide for yourself whether or not that is somebody you want to pay to give you a reading. You know what I mean?
No, that makes total sense, and that's actually a really great way to approach it. And I always thought, to me, I viewed it as my personal experiences. Channeling is the person or the being is inside you, speaking, using your body to communicate And I don't mean like using the body like they're going to go to the store, they're going to go eat because they're like, hey, we don't get to eat. We're going to go to Taco Bell because I haven't had a taco in years and borrow your body to go to Taco Bell. No, that's not how channeling works, or it's not supposed to work that way.
Yeah.
In mediums, they the energy doesn't enter the body from what I was told.
Mhm.
It's like next to, or it's around, and it's like you're hearing it and you're just saying what you're hearing. And so to me, that's one of the main differences that I was told between the two. Otherwise, I'm with you, they're the same thing. It's we're all communicating with other beings. And with that being said, I'm just kind of curious, and this is just blanket, no agenda to the statement, but have you ever been like connecting with someone and doing a reading and being like, whoever is here for you is not of this world, and I'm not sure what's going on here? Do you still have you had that happen to where you're like, this isn't like a loved one that I could say is like grandpa. I'm thinking this is like somebody from another world that's connected to you.
I haven't had that experience, but it's because it's not the intention that I'm setting. I've always set the intention that I am connecting to the spirit world for people who were in this world when the person that I'm sitting in front of was alive, or around, to know that person. So that's the intention that I'm setting. So when I set an intention, it really kind of sets the parameters up for what I'm going to receive. So if I had opened up my intention that it's for all beings, then that might change, but I've never set my intention that way. I'm sure if I set my intention that way, I would. It's like when I'm doing a paranormal investigation, I'm not setting my intention to connect to a sitter's loved one that's in front of me. I'm setting my intention to connect to the energy of the building, impressions, psychic impressions, like psychometrizing, the wall, or, the floor, or whatever it is. So my intention is set completely different. Like the dial, the intention is totally different when I go to do paranormal investigating as opposed to when I'm sitting in front of a client. So if I was to set the intention and open up that, like, any and all beings, like angels, spirit guides, aliens, whatever it is, could I receive that? Yeah, absolutely. But it hasn't happened in that setting.
Huh, very cool. And that's kind of cool that you had that ability to, like you're saying, turn the dial to decide what level of contact you're going to get. And have you ever been on a paranormal investigation where you find yourself like, oh, there are cryptids here, and that was not on our agenda, but they're here now. So, if you pick them up, how is that different from a spirit or someone's loved one?
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah. I mean, I hang out with Tobe Johnson, so he's like 4 foot kind of guy on Bigfoot. So yeah, I've done the cryptid thing before, but I know when I'm going in there, like he won't like tell me everything, but when I hang out with somebody like Tobe and Ellie, Tobe Johnson and Ellie Pfeiffer from Olympic Strange Days, and when I hang out with somebody like that, where their world is paranormal, it's supernatural, it's just a little different than my everyday world, I'm already setting that intention that, okay, it could be anything, everything. It could be the kitchen sink, right? So I'm already setting my intention, okay, what kind of crazy stuff am I getting into today? Because every time I see Tobe, he hands me an object that he won't let me see. He'll be like, psychometrize this. So I'm like, okay. So I'm psychometrizing. I'm like, I see a forest is on fire. I see, and it's like some sort of weird gifting object that they've received from Bigfoot. Then it's like a melted piece of metal that they found in the woods or something. So I have to kind of, or he'll take me into the woods and he'd be like, what's going on here? I'm like, great. I'm like, there's elementals. I'm feeling like really earth elementals. You've got Fae over here. I feel like they're doing this. So it's like, depending on who I'm hanging out with and what I know I'm getting myself into. So yes, I've definitely been put in that position multiple times before. Yeah.
So, what has been your favorite moment in paranormal investigating and, doing your evidential mediumship that it's similar to your aha moment, that lifts you up, but it's a moment where it's just like you just like, you know, I just love remembering that moment, that event, or that occurrence. Do you have any of those?
So many of them. I feel like my whole life, ever since I had a spiritual awakening, is just one those moments over and over and over again. Because Mart and I are just going on adventures all the time. So we have Earthly Imprint Paranormal, which is our paranormal team. It just consists of us two. We literally just travel the country and go, well, let's go here. Well, let's try this. Well, let's try to get into here. And every single time we do something together, we open this incredible door that we were not expecting. And it's like, how did that happen? Like, we made buddy buddy with Chris Fisk from Butte, Montana. Like, I don't, how did that happen? I don't know. But do I have Chris Fisk in my speed dial on my cell phone? Yes. I feel like that's a pinch me moment because nothing against my wonderful friend Dave Schrader or Cindy, who my incredible mentor, but Ghost of Devil's Perch, like the peak of that show for me was Chris Fisk. Like, history is my life. I love it. I'm obsessed with history, like especially anything 1800s. I'm like absolutely obsessed with history. And Chris Fisk was like the historian on that entire series. So when I linked up with him and became buddy buddy with him, that was a cool moment because you talk about getting recognized. I was like fangirling over Chris Fisk. He dropped the keys off to the Dumas brothel for me because David Prince, who owns the Dumas, was not in town at the time. And Mart and I had it for the night. And so we called, um, we called David and he was like, well, I'm not there, but this guy who like basically has the keys to the city, his name's Chris Fisk. I'm like, Chris Fisk is going to give us the keys to the Dumas? He's like, yeah. He's like, do you know who he is? I'm like, are you kidding me? So I got Chris's number and texted him. I was like, hey, we're going to be here around this time. We're going to have dinner. No big deal. Whenever you can get the key to us. He met us at the restaurant across the street and just sat down in the booth because I texted him. I was like, I feel like I'm fangirling. Like for a history buff, you're like you're like Brad Pitt. He was like, oh, and Chris Fisk's favorite thing is he likes to curse. He says F you, but he couldn't believe that somebody actually like saw him like that. And I was like, no, you're awesome. So that was kind of a pinch me moment because he came and sat down and was talking with us and he was like, I know you. I was like, you do? I was like, well, I'm one of Cindy's students. I'm meeting. He's like, yeah, I've seen you. You're good. I was like, oh my God, kill me. I can die now. Happy, happy woman. So little things like that, like Chris Fisk is in my cell phone. Like we chat all the time. Like I'm friends with Tobe Johnson and Allie Pfeiffer. Like I don't know. It's everything is a pinch me moment, right? Because I feel like like it's wild. These are people who have so much more experience in this field than I do, and people who are brilliant. Cindy, brilliant. She's just an incredible mentor. Just all these people that I get to surround myself with in life, it's pretty incredible because I just, I guess I never thought I would be so lucky to surround myself with so many brilliant minds and always feel like I'm learning something new or absorbing something new. It's really cool. I'm really blessed. Yeah.
Yeah. I have that innate gift of, like, if you and I were to meet in public, we would talk just like normal everyday people. But the
Mhm.
second we parted, that's when I would go into like, oh my god, I can't believe I just talked to Brooke. Oh my god, I can't believe we were like just hanging out. It's like I will fan away from the person, but not in front of the person.
Well, that's flattering because I so don't see myself that way. I'm just like stumbling through life, like thinking, oh my God, did I put my foot in my mouth? It's like I'm one of those people who's like, why am I here? I don't belong here. And then, when you're like getting coffee and they hand you the coffee and they're like, enjoy your coffee. And you're like, yeah, you too. And then you can't stop thinking about it for the rest of the day because you feel like you just put your foot in your mouth. Like, I feel like I'm that like all the time.
Yeah.
So it's flattering.
I always will kick myself when I'm at like the restaurant and somebody brings something and they're like, well, enjoy. I'm like, thanks, you too. And I'm like, why did I just say that? Because they're not going to go eat anything or get anything. That just, to me, it's like, I will sit there for like a few seconds and be like, how awkward did I just make this moment? And then I go, how awkward am I making it now, thinking about how awkward I just made it? And I'm like, I need to get out of this loop.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, that's me most of the time. I'm just trying to absorb it all and kind of just enjoy the moment when I can. So,
Yeah. So you mentioned that your sister kind of has it as well. Do you guys ever collaborate and do like events or
no,
like,
unfortunately, she will not train. She will not hone her mediumship. She has had, I think she makes it seem like she's too busy or she wouldn't even know how to start. But it's like, I'm your sister. I literally teach mediumship for a living. But I think for her, it's really more of the fact that her experiences of the paranormal when she was young were so horrific and so terrifying that she's too scared. She doesn't, she still has a deep fear of the spirit world. Um, and she's like painfully, it's funny when you meet her, you'd be like, she's not painfully shy. She'll beat everybody up in here. But she's, when it comes to like public speaking, she's painfully shy. And so, she just kind of suppresses it. She just pushes it way deep down. And I don't know. I mean, hopefully it doesn't manifest in like, I'm sure it does manifest in some, look, I feel like the more people embrace their gifts and the more people turn to like things like somatic healing and breath work and maybe acupuncture and things of that nature that feel right for them outside of like the Western medicine and stop suppressing a lot of their gifts, the better off they'll be. Because how many mediums or psychics do you know that does not have some sort of autoimmune disease? I don't know of any of them. We all have it. We all have it on some level. So it's interesting, I think. It's kind of a
hmm,
interesting vein, you know?
I have never thought about it, but I'd have to think about that now.
Yeah, definitely. I have never met a medium that does not have some sort of autoimmune or a sensitive or someone who is a medium, a psychic medium, and has just suppressed it so much. It's like, things like psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis. Shane, if you're watching this, because he says he's not a medium, but he is. Cindy's been trying to convince him of that forever. But, like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus or fibromyalgia or MS, just things like that. And it's like something so colitis or diverticulitis, not diverticulitis, it's the other one. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like colitis. It's like that kind of thing. Um, but it's really, there's not one medium I've met that doesn't live in pain like every day on some level for inflammatory disease disorders, things of that nature. So, I mean, my spine, they can't even figure it out. My spine is, I've got like, and this is only in the cervical. So that's like upper mid back to the neck. That's not even the whole image of my whole spine. They just did cervical, but it was 6 bulging discs stenosis, bone spurs, and full-blown arthritis just through where they imaged on an MRI. And they don't really have an explanation for that. They caught that when I was like 36. I think I'm 42 now. So um, do they know why? No. Am I in pain every day? Yes. I have lymphedema. I have like nerve pain and joint pain and all of it. But it's a lot of it is it goes undiagnosed. And I feel like it has a lot to do with being a sensitive and being connected to the spirit world in that way, or having to suppress gifts for a very long time. So I feel like it kind of, I'd be hard pressed to find a medium or a psychic that doesn't have some of those issues going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I get where you're going with it because, yeah, it does take a toll on the body. And I am also curious, a lot of times, mediums, leave a situation and they go like ground, like hug a tree or walk barefoot in the grass.
Yeah.
How do you release the energy and the connection?
I am, I really love salt water. I'm very connected to the water, which is interesting. Well, it's not that off base because I'm an Aquarius. Everybody thinks that's a water sign, but it's actually an air sign. But it's a little confusing because it's got aqua, air, Aquarius. So it's kind of air and water. I feel like Aquarius is highly connected to water. So, and then we are the water bearer. So if you look at like the Aquarius, it's the water bearer.
Well,
Um,
oxygen is in water, so
yeah, right. So it's like very connected to water, but salt water is a really big one for me. So salt baths are really good. But in the summer, if I can safely, um, of course, I just moved to Minnesota and I'm a Washingtonian coast girl, like I'm a Seattle girl. So this is going to be a big jump for me because I'm going from salt water to fresh water. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But I would go cold plunging in the ocean a lot. So because everywhere I lived was right on the coast, there's always a beach somewhere near where I was living at the time when I was living in Washington before I just moved to Minnesota. So I would literally just go out and just jump into the salt
yeah.
water
I
and just
think I have the solution for you
oh yeah.
because everything works on intention.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you jump into the fresh water and say, taking a salt bath?
Oh, that's true. That's true. Very, very true. Definitely. So it's just for me, it's like water and I like to cold plunge. And if look, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose. I don't want to tell somebody to do something that would be a shock to their system in a negative way. So please make sure that you consult with a doctor before you do it. But cold plunging, like as cold as you can get for a very short period of time, maybe keep your hands out so that you know what I mean. But cold plunging, fantastic. Fantastic. And like it's like this euphoric state when you get out of there and your body's trying to warm back up again. It's very euphoric. It calms you down. It's very kind of lets you slow down for a minute and ground. So I love cold plunging. I love it. You just need to be careful when you're doing it. Where are you doing it at? What is the temp? Like, you want to make sure that you're like not putting yourself in a position to accidentally drown or something like that, or go into hypothermic shock. So, but cold plunging is really nice. I would do it. I would say that's
Uh,
a really good one when I can. And then other than that, I just go out in nature and just spend some time out there. Oh, like alone, no music, just sitting with like the sounds of like nature and just breathing in the air, maybe doing some breath work and just sitting in that moment. So grounding is really important, but a lot of times people are like, well, I don't understand what that means. What is grounding? And a lot of people can't explain it to them. They're like, well, it's where you're connecting to the earth. You have to put your feet in the earth, and that's not always necessarily what it is. The best way to describe grounding, in my opinion, is you are literally nowhere else other than in that moment, in that second, and nothing else exists. Not 5 seconds before, not 5 seconds, in front of it, that moment. So how can you do that, right? I like to go out into nature and I literally pay attention to every single thing that's going on. Oh, I heard that car. Oh, that bird has some red on it. It's got a yellow beak. Oh, look at that leaf. It's falling to the ground. Okay, look at that blade of grass. Oh, it's going left, it's going right. You're nowhere but in that exact moment, you're nowhere else. So that if you can get yourself to do that for long periods of time, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that is grounding. It is being nowhere else but the present moment. So I like to go outside because there's all these beautiful things happening in nature that I can focus on in the moment. And that's the only place that my intention is or my brain is at that very moment. So that'll keep you grounded.
Yeah, I'll have to take your word on the cold plunge because this is gonna sound somewhat embarrassing, but if I take a cold shower, I will start to sneeze for
Oh,
hours. It's like my body will go into sick mode
wow.
because it got cold,
That's
and
interesting.
I literally feel like my bones have ice growing on them if I stay in too long. And so I'm like, if the water is cold and it's not warming up, I'll be like, in quickly, out. And I'm like, right into the towel. And I'm like, I got to get my body temp back up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
my,
Well, fair enough, but I will say this, like I'm a baby about it too. Like I will do the cold plunge, but I don't do like there's a guy called Cold Plunge Cam and he has an Instagram and his Instagram is all about like his mental health and how his cold plunging like really helps him work through like a lot of his mental health stuff. And he lets his body warm up naturally. Like he will not like do anything extra to warm himself. He'll make his body do it on its own. I will go straight into the hot shower. I'm not going to sit there because I won't. I can't regulate my body temperature at all. So because I can't regulate my own body temperature, I will freeze to death. It'd be like 8 hours of me inside of a sleeping bag doing this, no joke, to try to get my body to finally acclimate back. So I will do the cold plunge and then go take a hot shower afterwards. I'll cheat a little bit.
yeah, see, I go into steam rooms and saunas, and I'm the guy, I will sit in the corner by myself because I will be moving my arms and doing everything I can to like raise the ambient temperature. And I'm like, the hotter it feels, the more natural and calming I will feel. And I
Yeah,
could have sweat dripping down my face, and I will be like, it could still be hotter. This isn't really that hot yet. And I'm like, and for me, like my normal body temperature, I checked it one day when I was feeling like really on top of everything, and it was like 101
oh my
or
God.
100 degrees, like 99 to 100, not
Mhm,
101. And so I was like, okay, so my body is naturally hotter
mhm.
than the 98.6. And it was funny in a way. I found that out too was when I was in school, elementary school. I went to the nurse and I was like, I just do not feel good. She goes, well, your temperature is like 98.4, so you're really close, you know. And I was like, no, I'm not. This
Yeah,
is why I feel really bad. And she's like, 98.6 is the temperature of the body. I'm like, not mine.
yeah,
And I had to like argue with her that I was like, I need to go home because I'm sick. This
yeah,
is not normal for me.
yeah,
And no, people have a hard time, you know, understanding that, you know, that some people's bodies are different than others. And
yeah,
so I get kind of annoyed when we get bunched into the, oh, this works for everyone category. And I'm like, no, it doesn't.
yeah. And I know that all too well because I was a child care provider for 12 years. And so I know like those kids that come through. I know which ones are prone to illness. I know which ones run colder, which ones run hotter. Like, and it's not like it really isn't one size fits all because there are kids that run. I know if they have like a 99 that they're running a fever because they usually are like every time I take their temp and it's normal, it's like 97 degrees. You know what I mean? It's at a 98.6. Or I'll know that like they naturally run at like 99.6 degrees. Normally that's where they're always at. So 99.6 is like right at hitting a fever. It's usually around 99.6, but I know that that's where they're at naturally. So I wouldn't call that a fever for them. So I know a lot of people like to group it in, but working with kids for so long, you will find that It's not like a one size fits all for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. And
Mhm.
you you had a in your bio a mission statement, and I like how you say it's simple, but yet I feel like when I had to read it twice because I was like, that doesn't sound simple, but I get what you mean by it's simple, but it doesn't sound simple. So how did you come up with that mission statement? And if you want, you can share it with the audience.
Well, I don't have it memorized. It's just a mission statement that I kind of piece together through, like, I swear I channel all the stuff that I write. Like in the moment, like how do I feel? How can I convey this? And I just kind of let it flow. But I mean, exactly what part of the mission statement, if you want to like break it down, which part felt like not as easy as I made it seem.
There's your mission statement.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I swear I write this stuff, I channel it, and then I just put it up, and then I never have to write it again. I'm like, I channeled it. That's how I felt in the moment. So, um, yeah, exactly. It is simple. Well, it's a simple mission, really, right? The mission is simple. It's not this complicated, sort of like woo woo out there, just kind of nutty thing. The simplicity is in, I want to demonstrate to you that your loved ones have never left you and that love connects you always and that that is palpable and still exists, you know? So it's simple to me in the way that I just want to make sure that, look,
Mhm.
you know your loved ones are still with you. It's that simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to answer your question of, which part wasn't the easy part,
Mhm.
it was the demonstrating the connection beyond physical life and consciousness part because I'm like, a lot of people I start talking to about that and they're like, yeah, that's really cool. And then I find out like 5 minutes later, they're talking to somebody like, oh my God, I can't believe this person believes this. And I'm like, where did that come from? And it's like, why, why did you agree with me if you don't agree with me? And
Right.
there are times where, even to demonstrate the love, it's like, I find that when you demonstrate the love, in my experience, I have, like, I'm the type of person that I'm like, I love everybody equally and like family. And I have been accused many times of being overly loving and inappropriate almost. And I'm like, I'm not. And it's like I could put my hand on his shoulder and be like, oh, I feel for you. And somebody's like, no, you shouldn't have touched that person. You shouldn't have done this or that. And I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, that's what I mean by, it gets complicated because it seems simple to demonstrate love, but
Mhm.
you can get in a lot of trouble demonstrating love because people misinterpret it.
Mhm. Well, mine's really just through the connection of the words. So it's reminding them of a memory. The spirit is giving me like a memory of something really, really special that they shared together. That's demonstrating the love that they have, or, being able to bring forward something that was said. In love to each other before the person passed away. Like, I heard you when you told me that it was okay to go, that you were going to miss me. But you understood that it was my time to go. And I knew that was really hard for you. Thank you for giving me that love, or thank you for loving me enough to let me go. And, just that kind of stuff. So it's, when I say like demonstrating that love and that connection, the way I'm demonstrating it is through the visions that the spirit world is giving me, the memories that they're giving me, the jokes between the two of them, the tender moments between the two of them. Like, I know that, like, sons, like, a lot of times I'll have sons show me how they came up behind their mom and bear hugged them and picked them up off the ground, and just to make them laugh. And, so those are the kinds of things that the spirit world will show me. And then I can then, so when we say demonstration is another word for like mediumship. So when we say to demonstrate, it just means that we are standing on stage and we are demonstrating mediumship. We're showing the audience what the connection of mediumship looks like, you know?
And I love that. And that, I think probably because of having experience as a channel, it's like natural for me to just do that, and I
Mhm.
don't pay attention to societal rules sometimes, and it's like I'm not like grabbing people inappropriately, so I
Yeah,
don't want that being thought, but it's like, like a hug can be misinterpreted sometimes, and I just I kind of find myself a lot of times going, I'm waiting for the day when I wake up and the world is like, we all understand each other. There's no more of this division and
yeah,
misinterpretation. We're all on the same page. And
yeah.
until then, it's like, yeah, we're just in survival mode.
I know. Isn't that the worst sometimes though? Knowing that there is a place where that's possible. It's the spirit world. I mean, they show it to me all the time. And there's no misunderstanding, there's love, there's connection, and there's people on the other side that didn't even know each other in life that are like so connected in passing because the person they love that's still in the physical world knew both of them, even if they didn't know each other. And so I mean, I guess I'm very grateful to be able to see that the spirit world is like that. So
Yep.
there is a space for that, when we complete our, soul contract, in this time and place, so
Well, and the telepathy too that happens because you start communicating with your mind and you realize you have now given access to your mind to somebody else, and everybody's mind is being shared, and it's like you're not sitting there going, okay, read my mind, but don't read this part.
yeah.
Don't scan over here, and it's like, and I know there are people that are probably like that, are going, I don't want to be telepathic because I don't want this part of my life, shared with somebody else. And I understand that privacy,
Mhm.
but there's also the fact that you're not being, they're not talking to you with the intention of, we're going to go get all your secrets. We're going
Yeah,
to probe your mind and we're going to get everything and then we're going to cut you loose. It's like, that's not who they are. They're just communicating. And I
yeah,
think a lot of people miss out because they're too afraid of what they judge is going to happen versus what we feel really does happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand that. It's a wild place.
It is. And it's a place that sometimes you don't want to come back from.
Yeah, it's interesting, there's so many concepts out there, concepts about I mean, you could drive yourself crazy thinking about it if you think about it too much, um, going down the rabbit hole because you don't want to get so lost. I mean, going down the rabbit hole is fun, but you don't want to get so lost in it that it consumes your life because you still have like your mission here and this contract and this moment and this soul contract. So to get so distracted by other things, that you lose this moment of life that you have here because life is really precious if you think about it. And I think I didn't even realize that, or I didn't see it as clearly how precious life is until I started working with the dead, until I started working with spirit. Um, then it was like, oh my God, it really is a blip of time here. And you know, you could waste it so easily by, staying in the past or worrying all the time. And I'm just like, dude, that I had this epiphany to like, what are you worried about? What? Like, there's nothing to fear but fear itself, literally. What nobody's making it off this planet alive. Like, what are you worried about? Right. And so I just stopped worrying. I'm just like, I don't worry ever anymore. I'm never scared about anything. And it's just like, man, that makes life so much nicer. So much
No,
nicer.
I'm just laughing over the fact you said nobody leaves this world. We're all gonna die here. I'm like, wow, that is one side of the coin extreme. The other side is we actually will leave, and we'll go
I mean,
and
we're not leaving here alive, right? We're
but
not immortal. So it's like, dude, what are we scared of? Like, whether I get taken out by a meteor or like, you know, some scary serial killer, something, I don't know. Like, look, no one's gonna make it here forever. So don't fear things. Just live. Like, and the moment I let go of fear, I want for nothing. It is the craziest thing. I don't
Yeah.
worry about money. I always have it. I don't worry about a roof over my head. I always have it. I worry about nothing and it comes to me. Like, it's just, I don't know where it comes from. It just does. It's always
Yeah.
there, you
I,
know?
I'm yeah, I'm the same way, but having had 3 near death experiences, at
Mhm.
least that I can remember, I do have the preference of don't have a meteor or a car smash my body, because if I am coming back, if it is one of those experiences,
Oh,
I
yeah.
kind of want, the body to come back to, and not be sitting there going,
Right.
okay, I'm ready to come back, but my body has been flattened by this meteor and
Right.
is now crisp. So
Right. Just make that specification like, hey, if you're going to get me with a meteor, just take me to the spirit world, okay? You know, like,
make
just,
sure that's the one and done trip, and not the we gotta return to finish something.
exactly. Exactly.
Although that would be kind of funny in a way when you think about it, going and being like the medical examiner that's like, this poor guy is flat and burnt to a crisp, and all of a sudden like the body starts reshaping because you're pushing yourself in it and reforming, and then you're like, just
Oh,
shake off the burnt stuff and be like, hi
that's
doc.
that is the world's craziest like superhero movie right there. Love it.
Oh. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing everything with us. And before I end this, I want to give a moment for you to plug where people can find you and any events that you have coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. And you guys can find me on my website, mediumbrookeashley.com. Usually everything I'm going to do is posted in there. So not only can you book private readings with me on my website, mediumbrookeashley.com, but you can also, under events, see all of the places I'm going to be and even maybe buy tickets straight from my website from wherever it's going to be at. You can catch me this weekend. It's Thursday, Friday, and possibly Saturday, I believe, at the Palmer House in Sauk Center, Minnesota. I will be at the pajama party. They're having a pajama party at the Palmer, and I'm going to be doing readings there. So that's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I believe. And then you can catch me in San Diego at the Transcendence Retreat in is that September? Yeah. In September. You can also find me at the Boyd Paranormal Convention in September. You can also find me at the Great Lakes Paranormal Conference in September. So I have a lot going on in September. I will be putting on an event at the Broadhead Manor in Wisconsin sometime in August. And I will probably be sprinkling some other things throughout. I also have my paranormal convention. It's the first year that we're having it. It is going to be Olympic Paranormal Sci-Fest in Quilcene, Washington. And that's going to be fun because we have some really cool names in the field coming to that. Martin and I are going to be doing a paranormal investigation. I'm going to be doing a gallery reading. Tobe Johnson and Allie Pfeiffer from Olympic Strange Days are going to be there. We've got Jeff Davis. He's an incredible author. We've got a bunch of people coming, so that's going to be really fun. That's actually the end of May. So I'll be in Washington the end of May. And then in September, I'll be in San Diego, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Palmer House in the next couple of days. But if you want to keep up on where I'm going to be and anything I'm adding to my calendar, then you can always just check out my website, mediumbrookeashley.com. And my Facebook is Mediumship with Brooke Ashley. So those are some places you can find me.
Very cool, man. Wow, you are busy.
I'm trying. Got to keep myself busy, otherwise I get bored.
Yeah, and you have a show on the Spirit Realm, don't you? Spirit
Yes,
Realm Network.
Network. Yep, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's called Live from the Other Side with Brooke Ashley. And it's basically every single Tuesday on the Spirit Realm Network Facebook page. That's where it gets streamed. So it's the Spirit Realm Network and it's their Facebook page where they stream the live shows. It's basically an hour-long show where I just go spirit-led, and people in the comments come on in, you watch it. You never know, your loved one could be the one that comes through that day. And I usually read anywhere from 6 to 10 readings in that hour time frame. So that's always really fun as well. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And so I actually have a message for you, and it comes from me, and it is from my heart and the heart of my shows to you. Thank you for what you're doing for the spiritual community, paranormal community, everything. It's seen, felt, and heard. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That means the world. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And thank you again for coming on. And maybe we can have you back on again in the future and talk some more about this. And so be sure to like, subscribe, and follow Brooke on her stuff and my shows, because you never know, and she might be popping up. And with that being said, I am going to say goodnight to everyone. Thank you again for coming on and sharing with us. And have a wonderful night, everyone. And we'll see you on the next adventure. Good night. Oh, I love when the outro doesn't work. Let's try this again.